with the Russia-Ukraine war, by this time, everybody must have heard about the term NATO, because ultimately everything was revolving around this thing called NATO. And in this concept, recently a group of countries, to be very precisely, a group of countries including United States of America, Japan, Australia and India, a collective of countries, were dubbed as the Asian NATO. Why do you call these countries as Asian NATO? And what is the reason behind that? And basically, what is the reason which connects all these countries? In this context, I think probably one thing that we can always say is Indo-Pacific region. Yes, I'm talking about the Quad. What do you mean by a Quad? The quadrilateral security dialogue between these countries. So in this context, why is Indo-Pacific very important? These are very important things that we have to understand. In this LearnStroke's ExplainWallah with Arjuna Shankar, I'll try to explain what do you mean by the concept of Asian NATO. Is this really an Asian NATO? And what do you mean by the Indo-Pacific? Why is this region so strategic? Let's find it out in ExplainWallah. So we already have an important idea about the important countries in line. And definitely when I said the Indo-Pacific region is very strategic, these countries are actually connected by this geography. And definitely all the countries are really big countries, including India. So why do you have an association between these countries? And in this regard, what do you mean by the concept of Indo-Pacific? To give you an idea about Indo-Pacific, so basically the concept of Indo-Pacific as a term was used by the US administration differently according to the different presidential regimes. It was not the same under the Trump's administration. It was not the same under the Obama administration, and not same in the Biden administration. So everything, the word Indo-Pacific, how they see it is absolutely different in different periods. But one thing has always been very important, and that is the word Indo-Pacific definitely has the word Indo, which definitely means India has a very important role to play in that geographical region or the Indo-Pacific region. So why do you need so many countries like Australia, India, United States and Japan to come together? So that is why they say this Indo-Pacific stretch is one of the most strategic sea lane. The sea as such, or the geography as such we are talking, it is very, very strategic. You know why it is very strategic? It can be strategic in terms of the trade that is happening. It can also be strategic in the amount of export, import, or the volume of trade happening. And apart from that, the people, they say that you need to have a free, open, and a prosperous Indo-Pacific. And then you might really ask, what do you mean by Indo-Pacific? So Indo-Pacific is actually a region which has got the tropical waters of Indian Ocean and the Western and Central Pacific Ocean lines. So this is the region. You can simply see this region in this picture. And what is the history of this? And I said a lot of countries are actually coming forward. There should be a history for this. And I would say Japan took an important initiative in this regard. Previously in 2007, when the Japanese Prime Minister took a lot of initiative, there was something called as an Asian Democratic Security Diamond. That sounds pretty. Asian Democratic Security Diamond. And all the countries that we discuss are well connected. And even before that, the history goes back to the tsunami time, 2004, when the whole of the region was run amok by a tsunami. India took a very lead role in including solving the problems of neighborhood as well as the geographical region. But after 2007, these countries came together. So Australia, India, Japan and United States of America came together. But after some time, Australia simply went out of the league. But later, after a few years, Australia again joined back. But the real question now arises. I told you what is the history of this Indo-Pacific and why Indo-Pacific is very important and strategic. Apart from that, why is this association even existing? That is a big question that we need to understand. Here comes the most important reason, perhaps the dominant China. China is very, very dominant here. And whenever there is a country which is actually going up really high, America is indeed a big superpower. And one of the other countries that is rising to that level is probably China. Whether you take it in terms of the trade, arms, volume of anything, China is definitely a superpower. And you should also see that China as an Asian country, which is belonging to this region, is trying to control the ocean waters of these countries together. So that is the reason why China, being a very dominant country, is trying to control this ocean power, which can be a threat to Japan, which obviously is a threat to Japan, which is a threat to India, Australia, and even United States of America. So that was the reason why they created this concept of having an association to basically have a free, open, prosperous and Indo-Pacific, and also to have a strategic sea route without any military and political influences. And at most, beyond all that, you need to have a freedom of navigation in this place. So in one sense, you can say that the whole association is actually a collective to garner or keep in control the dominant China in picture. So I think now you have a clear-cut idea why Quad is important and what forms, which are the countries that you can see in this Indo-Pacific region. We can have a small discussion on that. You can just see which of the following are some of the countries that are part of the Indo-Pacific. So these are the countries, some of the countries which are part of this Indo-Pacific region. So it's very important to know which are the countries involved in this. So now you know why there is a Quad, which are the countries that formulates or combines the Quad system, what are the challenges that they have. They have a big challenge called a rising dominant China. And why this is a strategic region, Indo-Pacific, as I said, for every governments in US, that has been a very strategic important, and it is even said that they had almost 1.9 trillion of trade, export, import happening in this region. That is huge. So that is the reason why everybody is so importantly talking about the Quad region. And India is also a great part of this. So I hope you understood the concept of Quad, the Indo-Pacific, as well as why a dominant China is being countered by a collective organization including United States, India, Japan, and Australia.